Hi there everyone, Russ Douglas 222 again. Hope you're all well. We're nearly out of the last lockdown, so hope we all get our freedoms back soon. So this video accompanies my upcoming article in the summer issue of Airgun World magazine. It's a dual pistol piece. You've seen my Izzy before. This is the Baikal IZH-46M. So what's new? Well, don't know if you can see much from that side, but from this side, that's what's new. Basically, all I've done is I took a surfoam file, which you can see there. It's basically a curved sheet of surfoam, it's like a cheese grater, only for shaping wood. I took a surfoam file, obviously after dismounting the grip from the action, and worked it to create some finger grooves. Try and show this as best I can upside down. Now, when I hold the gun, I'm no longer got a sharp edge along here on the back of these fingers. I'm hoping partly with that modification and partly by also adjusting the trigger, creating more of a longer second stage. I'm hoping to improve my scores in our annual 10-meter pistol competition once that resumes at Blackpool Air Rifles Club. Fingers crossed. Hi to everyone at GARC. So the first part of the piece covered my modification to the grip and to the trigger. Hi there, Russ Douglas at Blackpool Air Rifles Club. So I'm here testing my Izzy because I've made some modifications to the grip. There we go, you can see it better there. And I've adjusted the trigger, and thanks to Bri for the trigger adjustment tips, as well as the English version of the manual, which is from Air Venturi in the States, but the Izzy is still made in Russia. Let me just step back a second, demonstrate cocking the Izzy all the way, and at the very end of the stroke, the air transfer port pops up all the way back, so that's the air now compressed. Pop a pellet directly in, and then keeping your finger well clear, you squeeze it down with a click, because you see how clear I kept my fingers away from the trigger, because the end of the trigger guard is open. So let's turn this around for a second. That's the target at 10 meters, and happily illuminated. I don't think you'll have seen that on the camera, but I'll record a couple of shots. Oh, that's in the black. Oh, right beside the last one. I think I'll fire all 10 into this card for starters. Let's see if we can get the next 5 in the black. That's quite satisfying to have those in the black. So assuming there's 3 pellets in the slot my finger's pointing at, then that's an 81, which is a nice start to the night. If from here onwards, if I can try and concentrate and get all my shots in the black, then I'm hoping that these grip modifications and the trigger adjustments, which I think I've got to adjust further yet, but hopefully these are going to give me some good scores. Yes. The second part of this month's piece covers a very different pistol altogether. One I've wanted for a long time, but there have been other versions by other companies and I've been warned off them. But at last we have the Luger P08 parabellum. The original caliber was 9mm parabellum. For those of you into John Wick, there's a video online of Keanu Reeves explaining parabellum. From the Latin, I believe. If you want peace, prepare for war, and prepare for war, parabellum. So that's what the cartridge was named after. Also, 9mm Luger is another name for the cartridge. So I've wanted a Luger for a long time. I was going to say distinctive, but it's pretty much an iconic pistol. Very unusual toggle action. Let me just show you, that's 4mm of movement before the toggle opens out and locks in place because the mag is currently empty. That's the toggle action for you all to see. And I'm going to do a little desktop video in a second. There's not much point in doing an unboxing video. There's basically a styrofoam shell with a cardboard box on the outside. You get the pistol, the magazine, and a 6mm Allen key, instruction leaflet in several languages. I'll put a link down below to my Flickr album where I've already put photos from my review article and photos of each page of the English language area of the manual. The magazine, which is modelled on the original single stack 9mm with a very small CO2 expansion chamber at the top. So I wasn't expecting fantastic things. And as I then found out on the range, steel BBs are much less likely to jam the magazine than copper coated lead. I prefer copper coated lead BBs when I'm using pistols, but anytime you're using any BB firing air guns, you basically need safety specs. Luger definitely prefers steel BBs to copper-coated lead BBs. I'll put the weights up here. An iconic pistol, classic 135-degree grip angle. You see there? Oh, that's running my fingernail over the diamond pattern nail grips, and the grips, including the raised diamond nailing, are only 1.7mm thick plastic, which is why they sound so cheap, and they do feel cheap in the hand, so that's a shame. Realism wise, everything is very realistic. The blowback on the firearm version, it moves back about ½ inch. Rather than 4mm, it moves back about 12mm with the toggle locked, so it allows the chamber pressure to drop, and then after moving back 12mm, the action opens, the spent shell is ejected upwards. There's a fake ejector in the middle. I'm going to show you full field stripping in a second. There's nothing in the instructions about the field stripping this fella. So I love the look of it. I love the semi-realistic delayed blowback. I love the distinctive toggle action. The safety catch on the right works. The trigger only moves a couple of millimeters, and if I show you, because it's an internal striker rather than an external hammer, it's basically a short single stage trigger with a click as the striker fires, which is all very realistic. The downside is, compared to something like the Tanfoglio race gun that I've previously reviewed, that fella has a large expansion chamber, much more oomph, much more powerful, and within, well, it's still very low, it's still less than 2 foot-pounds, but significantly more power and significantly more shots per charge as well. Despite the snappy blowback of this large slide, you get a lot more shots out of something like the Tanfoglio than you do out of the Luger. But as long as you're happy to load the single stack magazine with about 20 BBs at a time, and each time you load it, you change the gas as well. The 12 gram CO2 loads into the left side of the magazine, and you've got, as I said, a 6mm Allen key with a 6mm Allen grub screw in the base for changing. So it's not a rapid CO2 change, and it's not rapid loading. You can speed it up by having 20 BBs in the empty tube of a Bic Biro, and you slide all 20 in at once, let it go, do your CO2 change, and then slam your loaded mag home and pull back the toggle and release to close the action, and then fire away. I prefer to use copper-coated lead BBs in CO2 air guns, but this fella definitely prefers steel BBs. The magazine did jam a fair bit with the copper-coated lead BBs. So safety glasses at the ready. I should also say, realism-wise, it feels like a light pistol, slightly top-heavy because of the weight of the steel slide barrel and toggle assembly, but this is within a few grams of the weight of the real thing. Thanks to Wikipedia for checking that. So it is actually a realistic weight. So let me just sit down and show you the field strip. Realism-wise, we have a number 15 stamped on the safety, a 15 stamped on the side trigger plate, and when I apply the safety, there's a 15 stamped on the safety plate. And this, by the way, there's no gas or anything in this. When you pull the trigger normally, this side plate here moves outwards. It sort of pivots around a vertical pin. So putting the safety on stops that pivot. So there's 15, 15, 15, and then in paint on top, we've got AC and 42. Realism-wise, guess this shirt, I believe that's the safety, and up into fire mode, and there's a red paint dot visible. The action only locks open after the last shot, so only locks open on an empty magazine. On the left side only, there's a knurled magazine release. So, and you can see, if I was using this and I'd been shooting it, bang, 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 last shot hold open, and you've got to basically support the gun with your non-firing hand so that you can press the mag release with your thumb and the magazine falls free. Or you could try and do the whole thing with your non-firing hand, figure it away from the trigger, press it, and it falls free. So as I said, there's a 6mm grub screw here. The 12 gram CO2 sparklet comes in from the left side of the mag, and there's your valve to activate the blowback, and you've got a very small expansion chamber here. So it's not the world's best performer across the chronograph, and unless it's a very warm day, you're only going to get a single stack of BBs out of the magazine per 12 gram cartridge. But it's a very quirky toggle action blowback, and it's a fun, realistic pistol. Right, something that's not in the instructions, but is very simple to do when you get the knack, is field stripping. So last shot hold open, I'll eject the magazine, and with it being in the last shot hold open position, the barrel and slide assembly has already gone back the 4mm. So with it in its down position, the field strip lever will not move. And that's the same when the field strip lever is later already down, it won't move back into the horizontal position, back to battery, unless the slide assembly is back the 4mm. As I say, in the real thing, this would go back 12mm. So it's locked back. You lower the field strip lever. It is possible to remove this lever, but I wouldn't, because there's a small detente and a small spring within the frame here, and if you take this out, it's possible to lose both the detente and the spring, so I would leave them intact. But the fun thing is, and the reason I've got it locked open, is you've got to remove the trigger plate. So you basically pull the toggle back, let it run forward, and return to battery, and the trigger side plate flies off. Once that's off, that's it. The upper barrel and slide assembly and toggle assembly comes off in a oneer. So there's your lower frame, and you can see your trigger assembly here and your striker assembly. And opening it up, you can see in here the brass barrel and the mainspring which encircles it. That's the brass airgun barrel, and all of that is within the fake outer barrel. So you can clean this, lubricate it as required, and then for reassembly, you've got a series of grooves here which match the shape of the slide. So still with the field strip lever downwards. So you slide it back, and now you have your trigger plate. Hold your trigger plate so that the number 15 is upright, and you've got a slight edge in front of my thumbnail. So this has to slide under the edge. If I angle it so you can see it in the light, under the edge of the frame here. Hold back the slide, the 4mm. Slide it under the edge, press it downwards, and then rotate the field strip lever 90 degrees, let it go, and that's everything intact. Okay, that's disassembly and reassembly. So final thoughts, your rear sight, as you can see, is a very broad V. Your foresight blade here is a very narrow V, albeit with serrations to prevent glare. So your rear sight is a V like that, and your foresight is a narrow inverted V. Not ideal, but it's not for target shooting, obviously. You can knock down tin cans out to 10 meters with this. The sights are obviously non-adjustable. You may have to aim off. With this particular pistol at 10 meters, I had to aim off slightly to the left to hit my target plates. And I was aiming at 3 and 4 inch steel plates at 10 meters, which you can hit more often than not, which is good fun. An iconic pistol with the 135-degree grip angle, distinctive unique toggle action, full field strip capability, working safety, nice short trigger pull, releasing the striker. But downside, the grip plates feel and sound plasticky. Because of the expansion chamber and the gas needed to blow back, you're only going to get one mag's worth, 20 shots, realistically, out of each CO2 cartridge. I tried it with both the copper-coated lead BBs and the golden coloured here steel BBs. I tried it with both. The copper-coated lead jammed the magazine rather a lot. So with this pistol, I would stick to using the steel BBs and obviously safety glasses always. But very unique, great fun, and this version is very realistic. Great replica pistol and great fun on the range. Hi there, here on location down in deepest Englandshire, well Lancashire to be honest, in my mum and dad's house. The best I can do indoors, don't disturb the neighbours, especially as I haven't lived here for 30 years. So the best I can do for a 10-meter pistol shoot practice while I'm away from home is an 8-meter shoot from the porch, either end of the house, down onto one of my new metal-backed backstops here in the kitchen, and I've used an old card table as a protection for any stray BBs. So I'm going to have a go with the Luger P08 with copper-coated lead BBs, and don't want any ricochets obviously, although I've got shoot this side. So as you look at this target's on one side, there's a metal plate down the back, 1.5 millimeters thick of steel. There's a J-shaped piece of rubber back carpet tile, so pellets can freely go through this side, hopefully be muffled when they hit the rubber back carpet tile, and there's no way they'll go through the metal base plate or the card table, so double glazed window should be fine. After this little intro, I'll move the camera and record the downrange results. Cheers, wish me luck. There should be no ricochets, very little noise from the impacts with the back, and hopefully you will see the results of me testing the Luger P08 without actually any risk to the window or to this camera. So there you have it. So here we have the Luger last shot hold open with the toggle action, and if I eject the magazine and then put it back to release, Okay, so we have the broad 10mm wide trigger, single action, that simply releases the internal striker. Safety catch is fully functioning. Click off and on, but that's some great results for a fun plinker. Looking a bit more closely at this target, that's 18 BBs. They're all within the main ring. This was shot at 8 meters, and those 5 joined up in a row. This Luger doesn't have adjustable sights, but I was just firing to see what kind of group I was getting. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. In addition to the full thermal scope comparative review and interview with Bruce Phoenix from the Night Vision Forum, in addition to that, coming very soon onto my channel and to the magazine, my review of the Crownland Baba Yaga. Basically, if any of you are familiar with the Keanu Reeves films, John Wick, I know he's a very accomplished martial artist already, but the jammy so-and-so's been trained by some of the best, Taron Butler, and he's very, very proficient with the pistols, the combat choreography and so on. Crownland have now brought out the airgun Baba Yaga. 2p piece, you'll see why I need that in the review, but basically this thing is a beauty. It's modelled on a competition style double stack 1911 45 ACP pistol, and this fella is a beauty. So full review coming to this channel soon.